Hi, Miss Chris. Today I'm going to show you how to make a book into a purse. This one's a little tricky. It did sit in timeout for a while because it was not quite doing what it was supposed to, but it clearly does work. So follow along and learn from my mistakes. The first step for making your book purse is to simply remove the dust jacket. If it's a book you bought, it pops right off super easy. And try not to rip the inside too much, but it's okay because you're gonna be covering that with a lining, so it's not the end of the world if it does rip. You will then cut through the front and back end sheets, being careful not to cut into the spine because you do need that in one piece. Next, pull out all of the pages in the book so that you only have the cover remaining and the spine. You will then measure the length of the end papers in the cover when it's opened and the height. Measure and cut a piece of your lining fabric to the same size as the inside cover. You want it to be a little bit smaller, so you're going to be following the size of the end papers. I'm using the vinyl for the inside lining of my purse, so I don't need to worry about it fraying or having extra to fold over and create a hem with. It is harder to work with than normal fabric. If you're using a regular fabric, make sure to add an extra inch to the measurements so that way you have enough to fold over and make a hem. So you're just going to be tucking a ½ inch behind on each side. That way it's not fraying and looking messy. I'm using vinyl, which might have been a little bit of a mistake since it gets temperamental, but cotton fabric also works. It won't be as sturdy, but it will be a lot easier to work with. I want my strap to be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches wide, so I'm going to measure 3 inches so that it can be folded into 1/3 like a letter. I'm pinning it into place on those folds and then using a sewing machine. I then discovered that vinyl sticks to the presser foot and the feed dog, making it impossible to actually sew with a sewing machine, but sewing it by hand is actually worse and would take forever as well. So I got around this problem by wrapping the strap in paper so that it doesn't stick in place. Not pictured is several failed attempts at doing this and trying to problem solve, and then also my disappointed judgmental face while staring at the sewing machine. Once you've finally made your strap, hopefully with way less struggles, you will now make the sides of your purse. Measure the width of the spine. Mine is 2 inches wide, and I want my purse to be able to open wider. So we're going to have a pleated fold in the sides so that it can open up like an accordion. In order to make the pleat, I'm going to have the spine measurement be 7 inches long, so that it can fold open to 6 inches at the top with a ½ inch on either side to attach to the covers. I'm then going to measure the width of the cover and add 1 inch for that as well to create a hem. Once you have your measurements, you're going to cut out 4 rectangles of that size. You will then hold the right sides together and find the center of the top/spine side of the fabric and pin the strap between the pieces. The strap should be going down through and under the pieces that you're sewing because it's inside out, so when you flip it right side out, the strap will come up through the top. You're then going to sew along the edge, leaving a ½ inch seam allowance, and then repeat the steps on the opposite side. Flip the fabric so that everything is right side out. You are now going to create the pleat for the bottom/spine side. If you're following my measurements, you're going to find the center, which is 3½ inches. You're then going to mark 1 inch out from either side. Bring the 2 inch mark to the center mark, and then fold it back over itself and pin in place. There should be a ½ inch at the end that does not overlap with the rest of the pleat. This is what will be attached to the book cover. Repeat these steps with the other half of the fabric, and then sew through all the layers of the pleat with a ½ inch seam allowance. And then repeat this with the other side panel. Cut 2 3-inch pieces of cord, fold 1 1/2, and then glue it into place in the center of the cover. And then on the opposite side, put a button onto the cord and then glue it into place as well. This will be the clasp to close your purse. Now you're going to glue the bottom edge of the side panel, lining up the stitches with the end papers. Repeat this on the other side, and then glue down the center of the inner lining in place as well. I used so much glue in this step because it did not want to stick, and it took forever to dry. After using A6000 in this part, I actually switched to hot glue, which worked much better. And I feel deeply betrayed by all of this. It's like I've never sewn or used glue before at this point. Once the glue for the spine finally sets, you can move on to gluing the side panels to the inside front cover. Start with one side, glue that down, then rotate the project and glue the matching side in place. Once that glue has set, glue the lining into place on that side. And then repeat on the opposite side. Once all the glue is set, you are now ready to use your purse.
Support public libraries. Like, share, and subscribe for more great videos.